Alrighty, folks, we are live. If you're tuning in on the replay, thank you so much for being here. As always, I just want to ask you that little favor and just say, or just comment with hashtag replay. Let me know when you're watching, where you're watching from, and all those fun things. I'm just going to do my quick check to make sure that this is working. I can hear myself on the live, which is always good. So, like I say, if you're tuning in on the replay, thank you so much for being here. If you're tuning in live, also, thank you so much for being here. We're currently live across Facebook, my personal profile, my public page, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope. And I'm really, really excited about this episode. This is you're gonna love this guy. This is a guy. I don't want to do too much of an introduction because I'm going to save that for the actual show. But this is somebody that I've been following now for probably 6 months. Probably 6 months since I first came across this guy, and you're going to love him. Because if you're listening to the show, then you're going to love his energy and what he's got to talk about. Hey, Sharon, I can see you tuning in, loving your course. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. Right, I'm going to get started with the show. We are going to jump straight in, get to all of the juicy goodness. If you're tuning in live, drop me a comment, say hello. And as you're listening to this show, as because I can't really review the comments when we're doing the show, just drop a comment and say, what's your biggest takeaway as you're listening? So we can review those at the end and after the show. Right, folks, let's get ready. Let's rock and roll. Let's get this podcast started. Hey, you are listening to the Funnels and Growth Show. My name is Gavin Bell, and I've discovered a little bit of a problem. You see, too many entrepreneurs are great at what they do, but they never see true growth. All too often, they rely on luck, hustle, and hope to grow, which, as you probably know, isn't the best marketing strategy. So in this show, I aim to uncover the secrets around creating a marketing system that allows you to build your audience, generate more leads, and acquire customers at a profit. Now, on today's show, we have somebody that I first came across about 6 months ago at Funnel Hacking Live, actually. It was quite funny. This guy jumped on stage. He took Russell Brunson's book, which wasn't released at the time. And I was like, who is this guy? Jumping up on the stage, dancing with Russell Brunson's book. And I was watching him going, is he going to steal this? Is he going to take it away? A little bit later, I was like, right, who actually is this guy? Did a bit of research and later found this guy was none other than Josh Forti. And I started watching this guy's content. I started, following him on social, seeing what he's doing, Instagram, Facebook, on all these different platforms, his podcast. And he started to show up everywhere. And everybody that I was following and speaking to was talking about this guy, Josh Forti. And I was like, right, I need to get him on the show. So who is Josh? Well, Josh is a millennial thought leader, social media marketer, and the founder of Think Different Theory. By the age of 26, he started and sold 2 companies, grown and managed over 6 million followers on social media, generating over $3 million in revenue for his clients and students, which is amazing. He's spoken on stage across the country. He's been featured in Forbes, The Today Show, Entrepreneur Magazine, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, and more. And I am super pumped to welcome Josh to the show. So Josh, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
What's up, man? Good to have you here. And I gotta say, here's the deal with the whole me jumping on stage thing. Dave Woodward, man, I'll tell you what, Dave Woodward comes out. It's my birthday during Funnel Hacking Live. I get up on stage because they call up all the birthday people, and I'm like dying to read Russell's new book, Traffic Secrets. And so Dave comes up to me and he hands me the book and he goes, Josh, happy birthday. It's our only copy. You can't keep it. And I was very upset. So yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, it was. It's funny. It was a good attention grabber. That was my first Funnel Hacking Live, and I was like, that guy is great. So, yeah, good job on grabbing the attention with.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
A couple of people around me were like, "Is he going to take that book?"
Yeah,
which was funny. No, I'm super pumped to have you here. I know everybody that's listening to this is going to absolutely love what we dive into today and some of the things that you share. But I want to get started with a really serious question, which is: would you rather be 10 minutes late to everything, or always 20 minutes earlier?
Always 20 minutes early.
So here's a question. If you're arriving early, what is the thing that you do? Do you sit on your phone? Do you make calls? Do you make content? What if you're arriving 20 minutes early to everything? What is that thing that you do?
I'm probably always on my phone. There's probably some Instagram stories in there, for sure. But it's probably I'm either researching. I do a lot of research, so I read like a lot of articles. I study a lot of different things. whether that be entrepreneurship related stuff or social issues, because I'm very much involved in social political issues as well. So I'm either researching or I am communicating with my team or I'm sending Voxers or something like that. Probably not creating content if I'm early to a meeting, unless it's just like a quick Instagram story. But just like catching up on little tasks throughout the day.
Yeah, I love that. When I first got started in this game and I was doing a lot of like in-person meetings, don't do so much of those anymore. I would always show up like 15, 20 minutes earlier. Not because I want to do it, just because I'm a bit of a planning time freak. And
dude, you can't be late.
No, totally.
Someone said if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And anything beyond on time is just rude. And I'm like, all right, I feel that.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I found those like 15 minutes. That was like it was almost like a perfect time for me to have a unwind. I'm going to just do a little bit of a binge on social media, and it kept me focused throughout the day. So
yeah, for sure.
Do when it's meant to be working. Josh, something that I think that people are going to experience when they listen to this podcast is the energy that you bring to the table. So all of the content you create, whether that is an Instagram story or whether that is one of your famous like rants or whether that is your podcast, whatever it is, you bring the energy. And so I want to ask the question, have you always had that energy, or is that something you've adopted over time?
Yeah, so I think I've always had that energy. At least I've been told that, growing up. For sure. I remember my mom would tell me, she's like, when you were born, you were like, I don't know, like 6 or 9 months old or something like that. And they went camping on the camping trip, and it was like a 6-hour drive. And I screamed, cried the whole entire 6 hours. Right. So like, I think I've always had the energy. I think I've learned how to channel it, and learned how to like have some form of balance. The interesting thing about me is like I actually feed off of other energy. So like when I'm by myself or I'm not around people, that energy is less like wah, crazy all the time, right? And it's like a much more focused energy. But when I'm around people, like some people need to, in order to like reset, if they've been around a lot of people, they just need their time away, they need to recharge or whatever. If I'm around a lot of people, I literally feed off of that energy and I I suck it into me and I'm like, yeah, I can just go for absolutely ever. And so I'm a very like energy in tune person. And it's interesting because I can also sense a lot of like positive energy and negative energy. And if it's negative energy, I gotta leave. I literally have to get away because that negative energy, because I feed off of it, will literally put me in a negative state. And so that's why I love like events like Funnel Hacking Live and, masterminds and things like that, where it's a lot of positive energy because that feeds into what I do. And I feel that through Facebook Live as well. So it's not just like, it's obviously more powerful in person, but like if I see comments and everything coming through on Facebook Lives and I can read, and that's why I'm so interactive with people, is because if I see comments and everything coming through, that's when I'm like, okay, I know people are liking this. I'm going to feed off that energy and I'm going to give them more of it. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I feel you with that. I think I totally resonate with the negative energy thing. I definitely am impacted, whether it's a good or bad thing, by people's energy around me. And if it's positive, great. If it's negative, I really take it in. And you just have to leave. The reason I asked that question is, one, to get to know you a little bit better, but also one of the biggest. So you're big on video, right? And one of the biggest objections I hear when we tell or try and coach our clients to start doing video themselves is, you get a number of objections. I don't have the right equipment, etc. One of them is, I'm a bit boring. I don't really have a great personality. And I always say, well, you can build a personality over time. You start to adapt and you become a better person, or you become more you develop the personality on camera.
Yeah.
So for you, especially like during COVID times and when you've been probably around less people, how have you, or let me rephrase that, how do you always bring the energy when you are creating content like that? And during COVID times, how have you found it? As it had an impact on you?
COVID, not so much. I mean, like it's changed my business a little bit. We shifted the podcast for like a 4 or 5 month period there to be less like less like interview focused and more like business mindset focused. During the time for entrepreneurs to kind of support entrepreneurs of like how to run their business and kind of things of that nature. So in that sense, I think COVID changed us a little bit, but like my business is blown up during COVID. I mean, there's so much work out there because everybody's coming online. From a content perspective though, like, I think it's a choice, right? Like I am not like, I'm the same person that I am on camera and off camera, but at the same time, like I'm intentionally very energetic and very much like open personality on camera. I think the biggest problem that most people have is they're not afraid to be vulnerable, and they're like they're super uncertain in themselves. They're very insecure in who they are, and so they're afraid to go on camera, right? Like think about yourself in your like most natural environment, when like you're around friends and you're around people that you like trust and know, and like how like open and like kind of relaxed you can be, and you're probably a lot more fun, you're probably a lot more personable during that time when you're around your comfortable environment. Well, when you go online, there's this like fear. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm online. Oh my gosh, like what if people see? What if I'm exposed? Or things like that. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not a thing. Like that doesn't matter. Like you've got to learn to be super, super comfortable with who you are, both on camera and off camera. And if you are okay with who you are, then you're not going to worry about what other people think of you. Right. And like, I pay attention to what other people think of me, right? I pay attention to it, but I don't let it dictate, and I don't really care what other people think about me because I know that I'm being true to me. So, I mean, I get made fun of all the time. It's like, Josh, why do you wear t-shirts and flip-flops? Are you over the top energetic? You seem to contradict yourself sometimes. Like, I mean, I get criticized every single day of my life. And my podcast, my show is now big enough to a point where we get hundreds, if not thousands of comments on any given day, right? Of people giving me feedback. Like, you're going to get some hate, right? But I'm like, I know who I am. And because I know who I am, and because I allow myself to not worry, like, oh my gosh, like that's going to dictate my future. Oh my gosh, like I'm not going to be able to be a successful business owner because people hate me. It's like, well, just be who you are. Like, just be yourself. And if you're a bubbly personality, be a bubbly personality. And if people hate you for it, like, don't change yourself to try to impress somebody else. You can tweak your message a little bit. Like you can, like speak in a slightly different way so that people resonate with it, but you're not going to change who you are. And so I think for me, like, I always just make this commitment to myself whenever I go live, whether it's on my own podcast or whatever. Like, I'm going to say what I believe, and I'm going to try to communicate that in the very best way that is possible. And if people misinterpret it, then I can go back and correct it later, or I can go back and clarify or redo it, but I'm not going to worry about it. And, yesterday I did a post on my Facebook profile. I was like, hey, what do you guys, like, what do you think of me? Like, what's your feedback? Like, how would you describe me to somebody? And it's not because I actually care what people think. Like, I don't need that validation. What I'm doing that is I'm like, oh, I wonder how people perceive me. And I wonder if that's actually in alignment with who I see myself as. And if it's not, then I'm like, okay, then I'm going to do a better job of communicating who I really am. But I'm not looking for validation from other people. And most people, when they get on a Facebook Live or they get on a camera or whatever it is, they're afraid because they're looking for validation from other people. When I'm like, I don't really care if you like me or not, right? Like I'm not here to impress you, right? Like I'm here to serve you, and I'm here to be like, I'm going to be my best self, and I'm going to serve the people that I serve best. If you don't like that, that's fine. I wish you well. I have no hate for you, but like, unfollow me. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be in my own lane doing my thing. And that's how I'm going to be able to serve people best.
Okay. There's two things I really like there, which is one, there's this idea. Well, first of all, you've got the commitment that when you go live. So I'm thinking like from a tactical perspective for those that are listening that are like, okay, Josh, I get it, but you're Josh Forti. You're great at video. I suck at video. I run an accounting firm, for example. I love this idea of making the commitment when you go on camera to, say what you believe, because that's something that you can tactically go, right, I'm going to switch on the camera. I'm going to say what I believe. I'm not going to think about what other people do. And I think that, turning that from maybe something that might be unconscious to like a conscious decision, setting intention, I think is a really powerful thing. And then another thing that I took from that is when you this post that you put on Facebook in terms of, what do you think of me? It's not you're not trying to get validation, but this idea that you are looking at how do people perceive me, and is that the same as how I perceive myself?
Right.
So I think what's important there, and tell me what you think about this, is what's important is first, before we start thinking about content and video and podcasting and all that, is actually having a really strong sense of self and who you are.
It's the most important thing. It is knowing who you are is the single most important thing that you can do in life. I mean, outside of maybe your relationship with God, if you're, spiritual or, Christian or something of that nature. But like, I hired a coach. She's $60,000 for the year. I pay her $5,000 a month. All right. All we do is work on mindset. There's no business coaching in there. There's no course material in there. We sit down once a week and we have a 1 hour call once a week. and I have some Voxer access to her. Okay. Very first thing, the first 2 to 3 months of us working together, the only question that we just kept going over and over and over again is, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? What do you believe? Who are you? Who are you? And when I got to that point of, I know who I am, I know that. I don't need you to tell me who I am. I don't need validation from you or Russell Brunson or anybody else in this world, right? I know who I am as a Christian, as a man, as a person, as, you know, as an American, as a free thinker. You know what I mean? I know that. Cool. Now I'm going to go be that online and find the people that resonate with my message. And so if you are that person with an accounting firm and you're like, I don't know what to say on camera, the simple solution is, who are you and what do you believe? Right. And then 2, how can you be uniquely yourself? Because guess what? Most accounting firms, when you think of an accountant, what do you think of? You think of boring spreadsheets, paperwork. If you all of a sudden are an accountant and you're like, all right, guys, like, I'm terrible on camera. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. I'm just going to come on here because I got some stuff I got to share with you. It's important. You know, all of a sudden that becomes your personality and people like respect you for that. And people are like, well, Josh, like, how did you go through and how did you work out your brand? Or why did you pick backwards hats? Or why do you always wear flip-flops? Or why do you always wear white jeans on stage? I was like, because that's just what I do. I don't know. I just didn't think about it. It's just, I just got up on stage and did it. And people notice that. And people are like, that's your thing. But I'm just like, I'm just living my life. Like people tell me stuff about myself all the time that I didn't know. Right? They're like, did you know you do this all the time? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I do. They're like, no, you literally do it all the time. Why do you do that? Like, I don't know, because it's what I do, you know? And I think people just overthink it. They think there's this right way to do it. It's like, well, no, there's not the right way. There's just your way. Figure out the way that works.
So in terms of like finding out who you are as a person, then what are some of the questions that you ask yourself? Because what I found really interesting, and this is a conversation I had with somebody at Funnel Hacking Live, and it was the first time that I'd ever really gone, who am I? And it was when they were saying, right, who do you need to be to achieve the goals that you've set yourself? And I was going, well, I need to hire someone. I need to hire someone else. And he was like, no, that's things that you're going to do. Who do you need to be?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I need to, I need to get I'm making this up. I need to get a new camera. He's like, no, that's something you need to have. It's who do you need to be? And I was like, oh my God, I've never actually thought about who I need to be.
Yeah.
To achieve what I want. So what are some of the questions that you ask yourself if you're trying, or for people that are listening that are going, right, I don't really know who I am? What are some of the questions?
I love this. I love this so much. So I've written 3 books or three playbooks on this. One is called the Mind Shift Playbook, which it's a free book. And then the other 2 are actually in my paid program, 1000 Academy, which is essentially there's phases, and one of them's for business purposes, but there's really 2 versions of you, right? There's the version that you need to become, right? Or need to be in order to be able to achieve your goals, because and we could go into the whole subconscious mind and how your subconscious mind controls 90% of you, and 90% of everything you do, act, think, believe, everything is all subconscious, right? So like the first step is, or let me say this, you right now currently are not able to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. It's impossible. Your body will literally self-sabotage. Your mindset will literally prevent you from doing it, no matter how hard you try. Willpower, it is impossible. So you must become a new person. You must evolve, right? So we have to figure out what our goals are, where it is that we want to accomplish, and then who it is that we need to be in that moment in order to achieve those goals. But there's a step before that, or there's a step that we need to do in addition to that, which is before we can figure out or actually take an action to be a new person, we must actually first figure out who we are currently. And the fact of the matter is, most people don't like who they are currently, right? They don't know that. But remember, 90% of your life, you're not even aware of what's happening. And so, I just literally just yesterday in my student group, somebody came back and they posted, they're like, dude, I did the workbook, which is it's who I am, right? Figuring out who you are. And he's like, and 90% of my viewpoints of myself that were subconscious, I realized were like negative. I was telling myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth being a millionaire. He's like, is that normal? I'm like, yeah, but you didn't know that was normal. And that feels weird. And most people are afraid to like face this demon. They're afraid to go out there and be like, oh my gosh, I don't like who I am right now. Oh my gosh, I don't like who I'm telling myself I am. And so I break it down into 7 categories. There's really 7 categories of self. Now, this is not necessarily like scientific. I'm sure you could come up with subcategories or other categories, but who you are is your relationship with your personal internal self. Okay, so this is like your identity, how you perceive yourself, your beliefs. So that's the first category. Second is your external self, your physical reality, who you are physically, your physical health, your physical body, things of that nature. Then there's your relationship with who you are with God, spirit, source, some higher purpose or energy. Then there's your relationship with others, right? So your relationship with your spouse, your friends, your family, your things of that nature. Then there's your relationship with time, right? So time in general, because we all have equal amount of time, right? That's something that's one of the only universal things that we all have the equal amount of, right? Is time. And then there's your relationship with money, right? So how you are perceiving and dealing with your money. And then there's your relationship with your business or your source of work, right? If you're not an entrepreneur, it would be, your work. If you're an entrepreneur, it'd be your business, right? So those are the 7 categories. And so you've got to figure out who you are currently in each one of those things. And you do that by asking questions about those. It's like, okay, so who do I see myself as? Like if you were to go through and describe yourself to somebody else, but they could never meet you, they could never see you, they could never do anything, like who would you go and describe yourself as? So would you say that you're, and like, it's absolutely, 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 incredibly, so crucially, magnificently important that you can be honest with yourself. You have to be honest, like brutally, like cutthroat. Like, I don't care how painful it is. You've got to be honest, because if you're honest with yourself, now you can be like, okay, if I had to accurately describe myself to somebody, be like, yo, I'm not focused. Ironically, but like, I lack focus, or I lack discipline, or I don't think I'm worthy of $1 million, or I don't this. I'm good in these areas, I'm bad in these areas. And you start to form this picture of like, if you were to describe yourself right now and exactly who you were in each one of those categories, right? Am I fat? Am I skinny? Am I confident? That would be the physical thing, right? If you were to go through and, like whatever those questions are, that you need to ask yourself to go through and describe who you are currently in all those 7 categories. Now you've basically built out this avatar of you. And you're like, cool, this is me. Okay, 75% of it, this is the crap that I hate and that I want to change. 25%, okay, that's good. Now you can go through and do that exact same exercise for who you need to be to accomplish your goals. You go through those 7 categories again. Ask yourself the questions. Who do you need to be? Oh, I need to be confident. I need to be someone that believes money flows to me easily, right? I need to be, be someone that's worthy of making $1 million. I need to be disciplined. I need to be focused. I need to have a good morning routine. I need to be in shape, right? I need to have a good relationship with God. I need to, treat my wife or treat my husband or my boyfriend or my girlfriend well. I need to treat others with respect. I need, you know what I mean? And so if I go through and I go and create all of that, now I can go like, okay, now that's who I need to step into. And I actually have a path to get there. Make sense?
That makes a heck of a lot of sense. I think what's really important, as you were saying that, I was like, okay, that's epic. But I feel like the most important thing in that, like you kind of emphasized there, was actually being honest with who you are at this point, not who you want to be. Because I think that's where people would naturally go to. It's like, I'm good at these things. I'm really good at these things. When actually, does your beliefs and does the things that you actually do on a daily basis, prove that you're good at those things.
Right. Like I could ask you like, hey, are you a funnel builder? And you could be like, yeah, I'm good at funnel building. I'm like, really? Are you good at funnel building? And you could tell me logically, yeah, I'm good at funnel building. But I'm like, sweet, show me your $1 million funnel. Show me your $100 million funnel, whatever it is. And be like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm just not there yet so you're not good at funnel building. Okay. You need to be good at funnel building, but like, be honest with yourself. There's a difference between being a funnel builder and being a good funnel builder. Right. So it's like, it's one thing to say, I am a funnel builder. It's another thing to say I'm a good funnel builder, right? So who you are currently now, if you have only built 3 funnels, you're probably not a great funnel builder. So be like, I'm not a great funnel builder. That's who I am right now. But if I know that in order for me to be successful, I need to be a good funnel builder, that means I now have a clear path to say, okay, this is an actual measurable thing that I know that the future version of me, in order for me to be successful, I must be a good funnel builder, right? So now I know that is an actual measurable thing that if I'm spending time on becoming a better funnel builder, I know that that's moving me forward in life, even if I don't feel like it at the moment. Even if I feel like, this is all worthless. This sucks. Oh my gosh. Because you've already made that decision that says, no, listen, if I get better at building funnels, I will become closer to who I need to be. Therefore, I'm going to spend the time becoming better at funnels, no matter how painful it is.
So when somebody does this exercise then, because we're moving into like Q4, end of the year, I think it's a perfect opportunity for people to go like, right.
For sure.
Like me and my operations person, we sat down and we were looking at, we didn't do this for our personal aspect, but we did it at the business. We're like, right, what's the goal for next year? And we're like, crap, our business needs to adapt and change massively in order to hit the goals that we need to hit. We're not a 7-figure business setup right now, which is what we want to hit next year. So that was an interesting thing for us to do. But I feel with that, it's quite logical in that you've got those goals, you've got those things, and now it's easy to see a set of tasks that need to happen in order to achieve those things. With a person, I feel it might be slightly more challenging. So once you've done this exercise as a person, you've got your avatar of who you are, you've got the avatar of who you need to be. Let's say somebody does this in December, looking at 2022, I think we're going to be going into
2021.
We're into, is it 2020? Yeah, 2021.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
It's 2020 now.
Yeah, 2020 now. So going into
the longest year ever.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up. What's the next steps? So that they know who they are, they know who they need to be. What are the next steps on actually making that happen, as opposed to it just being like a Google Doc or a notepad, or the first note on their new notepad, or a picture on the wall? What can they do to actually make it happen?
Okay, so like the very simple, like the real answer, and I'll get tactical with you here in a second, but the real answer is that you have to choose it. That's it. Like, it's that simple. And when people try to overcomplicate things, and a lot of times marketers will try to overcomplicate things and whatever, because like they want to sell you something, right? I have nothing to sell you here. Okay. Like, the fact of the matter is you have a choice for everything in life. Absolutely everything is a choice. Right. And so like when you realize that everything is a choice, and when you realize and understand how your brain works, and you understand that all your choices are based out of your identity, and that if you shift your identity, like that's what's going to control it. Like when you realize that you have the power to choose, then you start to actually live in that way. But most people don't think they have a choice. And I have probably coached, I mean, for sure, several hundred entrepreneurs at this point, right? Maybe 1,000. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a large number. I would say at least 90%, if not more, of everybody that I coached has no idea what they want in life. They have no idea, right? I could be like, yo, what do you want? You could be like, I want $1 million business. And I'm like, cool. No, you like, why do you want that $1 million business? They don't really know what they're after, right? They think they're after $1 million business. Nobody is after $1 million, because right now, if you were to open up your bank account right now and there was be $1 million in the bank, your life would change exactly zero. It would change to zero. You know why? Because until you did something with that money, your life stays exactly the same, right? So you don't want $1 million. You want something that $1 million is going to buy or do for you, security, whatever that thing is, right? So since people don't know what they want, they by default go to the cheesy, easy to understand, like, I want $1 million, or I want $1 million business, or whatever. It's like, okay, that's not what you want. That is a vehicle to help you get to what you want. So like, if you don't know what you want, it's going to be hard for you to make decisions. And it's going to seem hard to stay focused. And it's going to stay hard to not go from shiny object syndrome. But when you actually go through and get stupidly logistically clear on like, this is what I want and why, and this is where I'm at now, and this is who I need to be to get there, now all of a sudden there becomes a very clear path. And when you can, because like people make decisions emotionally, but like a lot of people do need to understand things logically. They need to be able to connect the dots. Okay. And if you can make out a game plan, if you can literally sit down and see, whoa, this is what I want in life, and these are the literal actions that I need to take to get there, and every other action that I take besides these sets of actions is moving me away from my goal. When you actually understand that, and when you can go and be like, hey, listen, right now I'm scrolling on Facebook instead of building my funnel, guess what? Now you can literally tell yourself, right now I am literally not getting to my goals. But what happens is with most people, because they don't know what they want, because they don't know the actual actions to get there, they're like, oh, I'm scrolling on Facebook, I'm creating content that's going to help me get to my goal. And so they use this, they tell themselves this story of, oh, I'm hustling, when in reality, they're not. But most people, 90+%, they don't know. Like, if I were to take away your phone and be like, go do something that moves your business forward right now, go do something right now that moves your life forward, most people have no idea what that is. They don't have a tangible thing that says, if I do this, I get X result. And the only way you have that is by literally going out there and creating it. And because and so when I say like, it's a choice, people are like, it's not that simple, Josh. I'm like, but it is. You've just never done the work to get to a point where it is that simple. And so most people are saying like, it's not just a choice. I've tried to choose. I've tried to stay focused. I'm like, right. But in order for that to happen, you must do the work first. And the work is figuring out what your goals are, who you need to be to accomplish those goals, and who you are now, and then make out a plan to go and get there. That's going to take work. And I don't mean like, oh, it's going to take a lot of hours. I mean, it's going to be like tears, crying, emotional, because you're facing demons in your past. You have to look at yourself and be like, I suck at some things right now. I am terrible in these areas and I've got to change. And that is painful. I have bawled, cried, many tears going through it. I get my journal out and I'm writing these things down over and over and over and over again. But then I get through that and that's work and it's painful. But then I get done. I'm like, okay, I now actually know that if I take these actions in my life, I will get to my goal. It is that simple. Success is not by accident. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel that everything you just said there totally resonates with me, and it reminds me of a book that I think I've spoken about on this podcast. Before I get into that, I actually want to just say, everybody that's listening, can you feel Josh's energy? The first question I asked was about Josh's energy. Can you feel it? It's I hope like as you're doing the dishes right now or you're driving, you're feeling pumped up from this episode. So as I was saying, what you say there reminds me of a book that I've read called Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? And this book is a story about how in short, the British rowing team were terrible. They won absolutely nothing until they got this new coach on. And in short, they won everything after that. And the reason for that was the coach instilled this mentality of, will it make the boat go faster? And what that basically meant was every single decision that they made in their life, they had to ask themselves the filter question, will this make the boat go faster?
Yep.
So there's a Mars bar on the table. Will I eat it? Well, will it make the boat go faster? No, it probably won't. Washing my hands after I've been to the toilet. Will it make the boat go faster? Well, yes, because if I wash my hands, less chance of getting a cold, less chance of not making a training session. So it's like I think the work that you speak about there is so unsexy, especially if you're running, a six-figure business, you've got a big team, I'm saying this in quotation marks, you're busy. Sitting down to think about who you are, who you want to be, is probably pretty unsexy to a lot of business owners.
It's not only is it super unsexy, busy is a death trap. Busy is terrible. If you're busy, you have a problem. You don't want to be busy. My shirt doesn't say busy. My shirt says focused. Okay. Like, rather do 3 things well every single day than 15 things partially. Okay. Busy is terrible. And like when people think that by giving stuff up, they're giving stuff up. And I'm like, no, by giving stuff up and by doing less, you're going to go so much faster. And like, think about if you're producing, and I'm a big fan of publishing. I think everybody should be publishing, clearly, right? I love the fact that we're on this podcast together, right? But like, think about something. If you right now are spending 15 hours a week trying to publish and produce podcast episodes, when you could hire a VA to do it for $2,000 a month and they could produce absolutely everything, but your excuse is, I don't have an extra $2,000 a month. Guess what? Publishing content is not making your boat go faster. It's actually hindering you. So take 2 weeks off from publishing, take a month off from publishing, go land like one recurring client for $2,500 a month, and then take that money and go hire an assistant. That where now, instead of spending 15 hours a week on publishing content, you spend 3 hours a week publishing content and the VA takes care of the rest, and you have another client there and off to the races. Your life is going to be that much better. We're on a break right now with Think Different Theory. We're coming back October 19th, I think is the date we come back. Okay. Took like a month and a half break from the show. People were like, dude, why are you taking it? You got so much momentum. You had this viral video and everything like that. I'm like, because I'm spending like 15 to 20 hours a week producing content for the show and editing and everything like that. I'm like, we've got it. Like, it's new. We've got all this confusion and everything like that. Pause. Let me get my business right. Okay. Systemize, cut people, hire people, readjust things, new positions, everything like that. Cool. When we come back now, I'm doing podcasts. I spend 4 to 5 hours a week on my podcast, and then everything else is completely systemized and done, from promotion to, starting the editing of it, production of it, everything. Because now we have new viewers. Now we have a bigger audience. Now we have different content. We've got to tweak and adjust our systems. And so like, I needed more money to be able to hire the right people in place. So I'm like, sweet, let me get my business to the next level. Let me take it from $30,000 a month to $50,000 a month, to $50,000 a month to $70,000 a month. And so a lot of times you take a step back or you subtract for a little bit in order to go faster forward. but most people can't make that correlation. And that's why I'm like, you must map out what the game plan is. It doesn't matter if everybody else thinks you're stupid. It doesn't matter because they don't know what you're after. I always laugh when people are like, Josh, you should be selling courses, or you should be doing coaching, or you should be doing this. You should. And I'm like, yep. If I was trying to make $1 million the next 1 year, maybe that would be the thing. But guess what? I have a 40-year vision. 40-year vision.
Your plan.
You think I'm worried about the next 1 year? Of course not. Why? Because I have a 40-year vision, right? And so I'm like, I'm playing the long-term game when nobody else it doesn't make sense to anybody else. But it's like, I know where I'm trying to get to. I know who I need to be. And who I need to be is not $1 million course seller. That's not. See what I'm saying? And so it's a fundamental difference. You're playing a different game than everybody else. And you play that different game by knowing the game that you're playing.
Yeah, I totally feel you with that. And the reason I feel you with that is because at the beginning of this year, last year, about 12 months ago, I had a videographer. Someone that followed me around like full on Gary Vee style, edited all the videos. We did a vlog, and what we ended up doing was we had the videos. They were then produced into a blog. We had a podcast running and everything. And things were great from a content perspective. But I was going, this ain't making me any more money than before. And so what I did was I stopped the YouTube. I stopped producing the blogs. We totally honed it down to get to a point where we could then go focus on actually making money. And everything you say there, I was on a long drive yesterday, and I was listening to your show with Louise and Louise from Amazing Guys. And one of the things that you spoke about there, which really resonated, was like, why you're not on TikTok. You could be on TikTok, you could be getting thousands of followers, but you're like, I'm building the business right now. And yes, if I can focus on building the business right now, then in 6 months, 12 months, whatever time, I can go and pay people to then build my audience on TikTok if I want to. And I was like, that is such a good way to look at it. Rather than, Gary Vee style jumping on the platform, every single platform brand new, hoping that it's going to be the next big thing, is actually focus on building a business. And then you can use that as leverage to build the audience on those platforms if you want to down the line.
Yeah, it's focus. It's focus. And it's this knowing, like, people are afraid to miss opportunities. That's what they're afraid of. Let me tell you something. Money might not buy happiness, but money buys opportunities, right? I promise you. There's right now, everyone would say, oh, the Instagram train's over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not big on Instagram, it's super, super hard to grow. I promise you, if somebody came to me right now and was like, yo, Josh, here's $100,000. Can you get me 50,000 followers on Instagram tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, no problem. Why? Because money buys opportunities. So you can, and that's what people don't get. It's like, there are two currencies in life. There are only two. And this is what you have to understand. Now, there's variations with like leverage and, speed and everything like that. But there are two currencies. There is time and there is money. Those are it, right? And so I'm like, sweet. What is going to get me to my goal the fastest? If I have no money in the bank, if I am just getting started and I have some leftover time after work and I'm trying to get something started, I have probably some time. I can get on TikTok because that's going to be the best thing for me. But if I have a fully operational business and I'm trying to scale that, what's going to get me faster? Making an extra $50,000 to $100,000 a month, or getting 5,000 to 10,000 followers a month on TikTok.
Amen.
But people are, oh, let's go on TikTok because it's viral. What if I get 400,000 followers? What if I get Gary Vee said? And I'm like, and Gary Vee has a $100 million business. So Gary Vee can be on TikTok, right? But you can't because you make $10,000 a month. That's a fundamentally different game, right? And so it's like, you gotta figure out what it is that you're after. And now I'm after freedom in my life. I want to be able to hang out with my girlfriend. I want to be able to drive my Jeep into the mountains. I want to be able to smoke my weed and disconnect and read the Bible and do my thing, right? And still have a life and a business. And I'm not going to sacrifice that in order to go get famous. A lot of people are willing to. And if that's you, great. But I'm not. I want freedom in my life. Fame is secondary. So focus on what's important to me. Changing the world actually is before fame, right? Like, I want to change the world. And here's the deal. You could have 5 million followers on TikTok, literally 5 million followers you could have on TikTok, and I will change the world way more than you ever will. Why? Because I am not trying to get famous for the sake of fame. What you got to do on TikTok is you got to do some dances, and you might be able to make some money, and you might be able to have a little bit of influence. But if you want to change the world, where's your curriculum? Where's your app? Where's your software? Where's your educational thing? What is going to change? Because I can go hit up right now 50 people with 5 million followers on TikTok and probably get responses from half of them, right? You know what? How I do that? I flash some money at them, right? Whoop-de-doo. And now I'm in front of 5 million people, just like that, right? So it's like, you got to know the game you're playing. And most people don't know the game they're playing. They don't know what they want in life. They don't know what they want in business. They don't know the game that they're playing. And then they're like, but ClickFunnels doesn't work. It's like, okay. You know what I mean?
Totally. Josh, you know what I really like about what you do is the confidence that you have in everything that you say. And, but the thing what the even more respect that I have for that now after this show is the fact that I can tell you have that because you've done the work in which you've spoken about today.
Yeah.
It's so evident to me now that you have done the work in terms of who you are, who you need to be, where you want your business to be, why you want your business to be there, and what you want to achieve from that. Which then means once you have that grounding, everything you talk about and everything you do, all your actions are leading to that 40-year plan that you talk about.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's really cool. It's cool for me to see that actually.
I appreciate that. I love people when people are like, Josh, you post about Donald Trump. Don't you know how much hate that's going to bring you? And I'm like, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't fit. When you just know who you are and you know what you want in life, it just doesn't phase you. Like, people call me an arrogant prick, or that I'm clueless, or that I have no life experience, or that I'm a broke pretender. I'm like, all right. Like, I know what's in my bank account. I know what my life is like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need, like, you know what I mean? You just don't need your approval at that point. And that brings such freedom and confidence, not to go out and be a jerk, but to just go do what you know what you want to do in life. So I appreciate that.
Totally, yeah. Not looking at the hate comments, but looking at the hundreds or thousands of people's lives that you've changed through the work that you do.
Yeah.
Josh, it is time for us to now play a game.
I like games.
It's time for the game round. It's like the Highland Games, but on a podcast.
So the rules are simple, Josh. I have 10 cards. We are going to play a game called the 5-second rule. It's nothing to do with picking food up the floor, but this is where I feel like we really get to know the guests. So I've got 10 cards, like I say. They have 10 statements on each. I had no idea what they're going to be, but it'll be something like name 3 types of ice cream, and you have 5 seconds to go strawberry, vanilla, chocolate. If you can do it in 5 seconds, you get a point. If you don't get a point. Now, the last person that was on the show, or the last person we interviewed live, I don't know in terms of the episode numbers, was Alex Sharfin, and he got 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
Which is a very, very good score. I think the average probably for this season is about 6 or 7 out of 10. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do this. First one is name 3 female singers.
Taylor Swift, Miranda Lambert, Carrie Underwood.
Nice. That is a quick start. Name 3 planets.
Pluto, Neptune, Mars.
Nice. We're fast. Name 3 types or styles of underwear.
Boxers, briefs, panties.
Nice. Name 3 places that you might find coins.
Coins, the ground, in a gutter, or in a sewage.
Oh, nice. Just in time. Name 3 green things, the color green.
Green beans, weed, and trees.
Nice. Name 3 things not to do on a job interview.
Cuss, say how good you are, or interrupt the person asking questions.
Nice. Name 3 seaside resorts.
Oh gosh, Mar-a-Lago, the one place, and man, I don't know. I don't stay at seaside resorts.
That was tricky. Name 3 things to take to the beach.
Towel, flip-flop, sunscreen.
Nice. Name 3 high street retailers.
Sorry, say that again. You cut out.
Name 3 high street retailers.
High street. I'm not sure what a high street retailer.
That's maybe a UK term. Let me flip. Okay. Name 3 national flags containing the color green.
Oh gosh, I have no idea. Brazil, Hungary. Hungary. I don't know. I failed on that one.
High street. That must be a UK term.
Yeah.
UK game. Last one. Name 3 modes of transport.
3 modes?
So three ways to transport.
Okay. Cars, planes, trucks, or mopeds.
Spot on. Josh, you scored 8 out of 10. That is a great.
Dang it, Alex Sharpin. I got to come back on the show now. I got to beat you.
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2, and you're going to have to get 10 out of 10.
That's a fun game. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good fun. It's a game where you really get to understand how somebody deals with pressure. But you were fast.
Yeah. Thank you.
Really fast there. Okay, Josh, we are going to wrap up this show with the rapid fire round.
Ooh,
Time for the rapid fire round. 10 questions, 10 answers, no context. Are you ready?
No context. Oh, gosh. All right.
God, yeah.
Let's do this.
I might ask you for context. I might not, but you got to give the answer with no context.
All right.
Okay, your favorite book?
The Bible, but a non-religious book, Atlas Shrugged. I'm in the middle of rereading it for Russell. I can't say it. Sorry. No context. Atlas
There
Shrugged.
you go. Atlas Shrugged. Cool.
Yeah.
Favorite word?
Freedom.
I feel you with that, being Scottish. Most hated food?
Seafood.
Your biggest pet peeve, either business or personal?
Waiting in lines. Anybody that's slow. Period.
Love it. What was your dream job as a child?
To be rich.
Your favorite music genre?
Country music.
Oh, yes. Are you a morning or a night person?
Night person. I hate the morning.
That's interesting. What's your drink of choice?
Dr. Pepper.
Nice. Would you rather cuddle a baby panda or a baby penguin?
Panda.
Everyone says panda. And finally, Josh, what is one parting piece of advice you'd like to give the listeners?
Know who you are. Live confidently in that, and literally the world will work itself out.
I love it.
If you just need to know who you are. If you just know who you are and have the confidence to live in that, like anything is possible. Like life is completely limitless, but you must know who you are and be confident to live in it first.
Josh, that is an epic way to end the show. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Honestly,
yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. When I was doing my prep for the show, I was, scrolling through your Instagram, scrolling through everything to learn as much as I could about you before answering or asking you questions. And I feel like you just brought some absolute belter, as we'd say in Scotland, of answers. So thank you so much for coming on. Where can everyone learn more about you, what you do, and all of those fun things?
Yeah. Thinkdifferenttheory.com is probably the best place. Thinkdifferenttheory.com/listen if you want to go straight to the podcast. That's going to be the best place to do my content. My Facebook profile is I'm at Josh Forti everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I don't really post on Twitter, but everywhere is Josh Forti. Think Different Theory if you want my content / the podcast stuff. If you want to connect with me, see behind the scenes of my daily life, everything like that. Instagram stories. I'm on there pretty much every single day.
Yeah, go and follow Josh. Go listen to the podcast, folks, because if you enjoyed the energy during this podcast, then Josh brings it everywhere. So if you need some of that in your life, go and check out his stuff. And if you enjoyed this show, please be sure to take a screenshot of your phone right now, post it on Instagram, tag me and Josh with maybe your biggest highlight. What's the biggest thing?
Yeah, do that. So tag me so I can reshare it on my story. Yeah,
go ahead and do that, folks. And as always, if you'd love a little bit more, I don't know why I was saying it. If you would love it a little bit more, I was going to say I would love it if you could head over to Apple Podcasts or the podcasting platform of your choice and hit that subscribe button. Leave a cheeky little review. Josh, once again, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sweet. That is the podcast wrapped up. We have a few comments that came in as we're live. Killian says, Josh is on a rant. Loving it. And
every day.
Yeah. Debbie says his energy is amazing, which I
try.
It's awesome. Guys, for those of you that are tuned in live or if you're watching on the replay, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to head over to the podcast and app of your choice as well and subscribe on the podcast too. And like I said on the show there, go check out Josh's stuff because it's epic. If you enjoyed today, if you enjoyed the show, you'll love Josh's Instagram stories, his podcast, his Facebook rants, all the fun stuff that he does. So go and do that. Cool. We're going to wrap up this live. Josh, I will see you in the green room or whatever it's called. For those of you watching live, thank you. And I'll see you all again next week.
See you guys.